man, HEX founder Richard Hart has just been issued a red notice by Interpol. Yes, he is on the wanted list. This guy here, you've probably seen him. If you've been in previous cycles, you will know who Richard Hart is. His official name, his government, Richard James Schuler, has been issued a red notice by Interpol for assault, but also avoiding tax as well. So assault of a minor and avoiding tax. Of course, we know Richard Hart was a really, let's call him a maverick. He was very outspoken. He was very out there. I personally never liked him, nor did I really talk about the project here on this channel. But one thing is for sure, you can see something is going on here. I mean, of course, he's been issued this red notice. The price of HEX token is down over 37% here, getting a good smashing this week. And really, this is not a good look for the project, right? I mean, first and foremost, he was in a battle with the SEC anyway over unregistered security sales. I mean, that continues to be a $1 billion case. You can see here the SEC claimed Hart had raised more than $1 billion through the unregistered offer and sale of crypto asset securities. To which Richard Hart said the following: "Nothing makes haters angrier than success. Every time they think of you, it reminds them how they're not doing half of what they could." Remember, this is the guy that will, you know, just make these kind of really kind of lame videos of him wearing head-to-toe Gucci, walking out of fancy designer shops with loads of bags. I mean, just never really took my fancy. Now, you can see here, Richard Hart, founder of popular Ethereum-based token HEX, has been issued a red notice by Interpol in connection with aggravated tax fraud and assaulting a 16-year-old girl. The red notice against 45-year-old Richard Schuler has been issued by Interpol at the request of authorities in Finland. For the purpose of avoiding tax, Schuler failed to observe a statutory duty pertaining to taxation that is of significance in the assessment of tax. And then here, Schuler physically assaulted a 16-year-old victim by grabbing their hair, dragging them into the stairwell, knocking them to the ground while the victim was laying on their back on the floor. Schuler punched them 4 to 5 times in the face, nose, eye, and head area. So these are the charges levied against Richard Hart. Not a good look for the crypto. Of course, the crypto is struggling to the downside. Now, looking at wider markets, you are seeing Bitcoin down 2% here today. And, you know, to be quite frank about it, we spoke about this in yesterday's video. We're testing our EMA ribbon. Now, it's also important to understand we're in the festive period now. And I was just doing that before I came online here. I was just looking at the previous festive periods around these days, 21, 22, 23, 24, and of course 25th of December. You do see lower volumes. So it's easier to manipulate the price. It's easier to see lower prices as well. So just be patient out there. This is not a true reflection of price action when a lot of people are away from their desks. A lot of major institutions may be closed. And this, of course, is going to have an effect on the volumes coming through here on Bitcoin. So you're already seeing that here with low weekend volume yesterday on Saturday, today as well on Sunday. Now, what's of more significance is when we switch over to the weekly candles, because the weekly candle is now coming in for a close, and it's a painful close. I mean, this candle went as high as 108.3 this week, but we're now closing here at around the 95.3 mark with 7 hours to go before this candle closes. It's a decisive candle, right? It's a clear, decisive candle. It's a message from the bears that, look, you had it easy over the last kind of, let's call it a couple of months here on this upward leg here, but you're pushing your luck here. 108 is not where you're at just yet. You're going to have to earn those price points. If you want 110 on Bitcoin, you know, we're still here as bears. And I think you've seen that in the liquidations as well. We're monitoring the liquidations over the last kind of couple of days. You had 1.35 billion in a 24-hour period the other day. Now the last 24-hour period is another $250 million wrecked. And you can see the majority of these are longs, right? These are overzealous, overexcited longs that are positioned in the market. And those fundamentally are the ones getting wrecked. Quite mainly, as of course, if we jump onto 24 hours here, you're seeing a bunch of that in ETH and a bunch of that split equally between Bitcoin as well. So these predominantly tends to be the main places we're seeing a lot of leverage being wrecked, plus of course the rest of the 42 million going in the other coin section here as well. What I also found interesting was if you look at the top here, the 24-hour long to short ratio, we are net seeing this market just slightly rotate across to a short position. So there is a short bias here on the market And that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, we posted the video yesterday of, is this crypto bull market over? If you haven't watched that video, I suggest you go and watch that video to get caught up on my thoughts about whether this signals the end of that. Are we done at 108? Have we topped out and now we need to go revisit the lows again? I share my views in that video, but for now, what's definitely clear is that we're here for a pullback, right? I mean, the pullback is already in full swing. I mean, we're already down from highs by 11.9%, but a real correction, particularly in crypto, is at least the 20% mark, which kind of brings you down to 85k. And like I said, the EMA ribbon really comes at 27% at about the 80k mark here on Bitcoin. And I think that would be perfectly healthy. I wouldn't have any qualms if that's what Bitcoin wanted to do, was to come back and retest some of those levels. So if we jump onto the chart formation, which we had, just remove the CMA ribbon, we're in a long consolidation, right? A long consolidation, we break through and we achieve the flag halt pattern, right? This price target, which I shared with you guys, we achieved that. So we can delete that. That got achieved. But then we carried on going, and we carried on going to the Fibonacci target, which was our second, the Fibonacci golden extension, which was 109.5, and we pretty much touched it, right? We touched 108.2, but to all intents and purposes, we consolidated in this area, we broke through all three Fibonacci patterns, and we extended it at the top. So now if Bitcoin wants to set itself a new target, if it wants to push on even higher, we're going to have to recalibrate, right? At some point, you've got to have a pullback for you to reset the parameters, reset the leverage, which we just looked at, reset some of the funding rates, and then you can get ready to head for a higher leg up. And I think that's what's playing out here. There's no evidence to suggest this is a major change, but what it clearly is it's clearly a weekly candle which says, nope, the bears are still here. And it'd be remiss of me to not mention the fact that this is not just a crypto specific issue. This is an issue which, pertains to the traditional markets as well. I mean, look at the weekly candle here on the S&P. Look at the weekly candle on the Nasdaq. I mean, this is a global thing based on the FOMC rug pull, which clearly we had this week. And I think it's important for us to keep that context. So when we're worried about, is it the end of the bear market? Has crypto losses appear? All these things that, people start panicking and thinking about in their head. Just remember, this has nothing to do with crypto here on the S&P, and yet you've had a 2% down week and quite a nasty candle here on the S&P, right? Just kind of trimming some of the gains they've made over the last kind of month or so. But again, when Jerome Powell has come out and said that, it's going to shake the market. But what's important is we've got to wait for the next set of data, right? We've got to wait for the next set of data. Because every time data comes out, we know that the Fed is just going to flip-flop, right? That's what they do. Oh, data comes in hawkish, and then the data comes in dovish, and then the hawkish and dovish. They don't have a clear long-term plan. So even though in the summary of economic projections they've told us 2 rate cuts, if the figures come and show otherwise, I'm sure they'll do 3, 4 rate cuts even if needed in 2024. So more than worrying about what the Fed is saying, we should worry about the actual figures, because the Fed will have to respond to those figures. So let's keep an eye on PCE inflation. Let's keep an eye on CPI inflation. Let's, going into this new year, keep an eye on the retail sales. Let's keep an eye on the jobs data. And if those start to show that we need to be cutting rates more aggressively, then the Jerome Powell won't have a choice. He can't say, oh, I've only budgeted for 2, I'm only doing 2. No. They'll change their views quite quickly because they won't want to damage the economy, particularly not under Trump, who's going to, have a clear focus for them to not mess things up. He can't afford for them to mess things up, and he will be, of course, in the ear of the Fed as well. So, important candlestick here, a definitive bearish candle, right? I mean, yes, we've got 7 hours to close. I don't think much is going to change in the next 7 hours, but we've got to respect it. We've got to respect that after all these weeks to the upside, the bears have spoken, risk has rotated off. I mean, we can show the dollar index here, big, strong weekly candle here for the dollar index, which is not what we want. We wanted the dollar index to come in this direction. It hasn't. It's gone from strength to strength here over the last kind of 3 weeks here, bounced from the purple line, and it wants to continue to uptrend. And when it uptrends, that's not good for risk on assets. Okay. That being said, look, we can build from this, right? Yes, it's a Christmas period. Let that kind of, go away. Let the volume start to come back maybe towards the end of the year. I think you see a bit of volume come back from when I was looking at the previous dates. Let's see if I can show you guys as well. 2023. Let's go to that date. Here you go. So what you can see here, guys, is you can see some of the festive dates. If I just go back, let's put it on the daily candles. That's October. Okay, give me a second, guys. Just want to go back There we go. So this is the 22nd of December last year, 2023. So you can see the volume was okay on the 22nd. Of course, 22nd today is a Sunday, so it's not the same. It's not a weekday candle, so we're going to get low volumes today. Then on Monday, the 23rd of December, that was a weekend last year, you saw low volumes. The low volumes continued on Christmas Day on Monday, and then around the 26th, 27th December, some volumes start to pick up, but you really didn't see some real volume candles, the skyscraper volume candles, until the 2nd and 3rd of January. And then really a lot of people got back to work around this period, right? 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and that's where you got a big candlestick here, which took you as high on Bitcoin as 49,000. So, you know, moral of the story here is just to be a little bit patient here on crypto. It is a festive period. Not everybody is sat on their desk bidding up Bitcoin, so don't be surprised to see kind of us just bleeding a little bit, seeing altcoins bleed over this festive period, but you'll be looking for that to hopefully start catching more excitement towards the end of the year, 26, 27, 28, and then opening up strongly in the new year, particularly with the narrative around the Trump inauguration. I'm sure that will bring a lot more excitement to crypto as well. So there you have it, guys, an update on Richard Hart being issued a red notice. Crypto struggling here, getting set for a big red weekly candle close. We've not got many catalysts in the calendar for this week. There aren't any major economic news or data that I can see coming out. If there is anything, of course, I will spin up a video for you guys even this week if there is anything major that affects your crypto bags. If there's any specific altcoins you want me to cover particularly, let me know in the comments below, and the ones which are thumbs up the most, I'll be sure to get out some content for you guys around those. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash up the likes, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.